Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am Slipshock, and about 6 days ago, they dropped this here, and I believe it was IGN that dropped this. So that's you know how it is when I see these type of things, especially Forspoken. I'm watching it with you guys. Come on, let's get into it. The first thing you automatically see is just how versatile the spells are, like right off the bat, and it's pretty cool.
Forspoken is a lot more fun than I expected. Thus far, there have only been a few glimpses into combat, while the marketing campaign has, in my opinion, done the game a disservice by focusing on campy dialogue instead of what Forspoken is doing best. Because what's actually here is an RPG light with a very heavy emphasis on big, bombastic combat sequences that have an optional bonus challenge for tryhards like myself in a Devil May Cry-like combat rating system. Forspoken surprised me with this focus on combat, roaming bosses to challenge, and a map filled with objectives to complete. I finished my demo excited to get better ratings in fights, and to see how all this ties into Frey's experiences in her Fish Out of Water story.
Okay. So that's cool. It's like you can have a regular experience, and then you can also have like a try hard. You know, the people who always want to be, make difficult in your life and shit. The masochists and shit.
Frey continues playing the Fish Out of Water role, asking a plethora of questions. Nothing seemed particularly forced or campy, which you'd think would be oozing out of every corner, given how the team was lambasted on social media.
That's something that's very annoying to me, forced or campy. If you yourself had,
otherwise, the world we explored was quite
like,
interesting. The entirety of the plot focuses around planet Ash.
If you yourself, right, get transported into a world not your own, and you have a talking bracelet, I guarantee you wouldn't be like, okay, let's find out what this can do. You're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to be like, what the hell? Asking a bunch of questions. If you've never seen a dragon in your life, of course you're going to be like, holy shit, I'm seeing the dragon. Come on.
And that's what the majority of this demo was for. The amount of combat options are a bit staggering at first. Thankfully, the 22 abilities we had access to split into two sets.
How much you get after 22?
And you could swap between them easily by pressing left or right on the D-pad. Additionally, to give you more time to plan each attack, you can set your gameplay options to make your ability swaps on the radial interface either slow down time, stop time entirely, or
I think the slowdown time is pretty fun. Like it adds a dynamic to it that looks pretty cool.
So we didn't have all 100 plus magical abilities.
100?
22 abilities we did juggle were varied and interesting. This included 2 surge abilities, aka your super move, 6 main attacks, aka your go-to punchy or shooty moves, and 14 sub or support attacks, aka one-time use magic abilities that enter a cooldown period after use. Frey's magic included 3 main attacks: burst shot, shield shot, or scatter shot, which are typical projectile abilities that send projectiles outward to shoot things from a distance.
Okay.
Of course, all these main abilities can be charged to shoot larger projectiles, but you're also left vulnerable during that time. The secondary attacks are support-based, so you'll use things like Bind to tie up opponents, Leech to summon poison-curing plants, Screen to summon stones around you as a rock shield, Disperse and Implant to create plant turrets to auto-attack, or Prime to lay a magic trap that will blow up should someone step onto it. The Surge ability, Genesis, creates a massive spike of roots from the ground that ensnares and damages anything caught within.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
My preferred method of approaching combat. It didn't hurt that most things were vulnerable to it in this build. The 3 main attacks that involve fire are Arc Slice and Blast Slice that give Frey a huge fire lance, or Rage Slice that allows your Fiery Fist to become the weapon. Even Scylla's
Fiery Fist, I like that.
Charge send you dive kicking at top speed into an opponent's face, pushing them back and damaging them at the same time. Bombardier does the same, but triggers an explosion that does area of effect damage. And Fire Trap creates a lava bubble to burn away at anything stepping inside of it. There's also less in-your-face options here, like Aegis, which I don't know how to say properly, that cancels out an enemy's attack or eliminates defense-reducing spells applied to Frey.
Oh my god, the damn traversal was so cool.
Anything captured within. Combine that with the incredibly powerful, say it with me, conflagration which engulfs anything in front of you in a massive wave of fire.
Conflagration.
What? Away from most encounters
Okay.
victorious. Both Frey's and Scylla's magic also benefit from parkour abilities, offering additional options if airborne. As the parkour elements are separate, you can also use the Spider-Man web zip style ability to get up close.
You just had to use Spider-Man, right?
Simply dodge to the left or right and avoid an attack. And all of this is combined with a combat rating that is constantly judging how well or poorly you've been doing the entire time. I will admit that I became obsessed with figuring out how to improve my score, as that letter D lingered far longer than I liked. With all these abilities, I'd love to see what a Frey S tier combo looks like. They're make even Dante from Devil May Cry blush. In addition to all the combat elements, I was surprised by the amount of gear you can add to Frey, because each item had several stats to bolster your attack, defense, or magic. Those items include cloaks, necklaces, and even what I assume are press-on nails that, yes, you can paint if you choose to do so. Cloaks have
press-on nails,
defense, and in this build, a purple or red magic rating buff, in addition to 3 random buffs.
That's a really specific
health and defense stats with that same purple or red rating the cloaks had.
Something bad. It's just that's just kind of weird.
Damage buffs. Finally, the nails. This is where your spell buffs are located, and you'll see everything from Frey's spell damage plus 5% here, or something more fun like killer blows generate.
I don't think it's press on nails. I think it's like maybe.
You can start imagining what Frey's going to look like early on in
that was
the
just a
game.
weird thing to say. Press on nails.
Ground, electrocuted, generate a shockwave on their death, all while bursting your surge ability, meaning you'll be ready with an ultra strong attack to finish off anything remaining. I can't wait to see what other passive options we'll be able to stat into later on. To put those skills to the test, they've littered the map with plenty to do. There are enemies you can hunt down for XP rewards, treasure chests to unlock new gear, townspeople to save for a mana reward that will upgrade your abilities, monuments to strength that'll give you a stat increase and spawn something interesting to fight, and
targeted gear farming.
Gaiuzal locations to scout that will reward new cloaks. And I think those are just a few of the items I happen to spot with my short amount of time in Forspoken. To find them, you can use Cuff's abilities like Scan that you can do by tapping up on the D-pad. Compass is also used by holding up should you want to be directed to a specific location.
So look at that. I would love to be able to traverse like that in some games. Just give me, let the people who make this game make a Doctor Strange game. That's all I'm saying.
Drafts I ended up using more than I'd like to admit. You can also do this at one of the hideaways that will also allow you to unlock new abilities with the mana you've collected, or craft/upgrade your cloaks, necklaces, and nails.
Okay.
And the parkour abilities aren't just limited to combat either. You can also very quickly get around the map with your standard zip ability, which makes things like climbing up the face of a mountain much easier, or getting to the next point of interest a bit more fun than just walking there. Because I primarily played all of this on performance mode, as I prefer faster frame rate over pretty visuals, I did want to ask what some of the other graphical targets were. The Forspoken team told me that they're targeting a maximum resolution of 2880 by 1620p with a frame rate of 30 FPS for the ray tracing mode, and a maximum resolution of 2560 by 1440p at
I think I'm gonna stay in the performance mode too.
Having had the chance to swap between them both, there's an obvious
I think it is
much fun and looks for both.
Much more fun with the 60 FPS.
Combat, I felt the faster frame rate was the way to go. That said, if visuals are your thing, they've clearly spent a lot of time working to make them the best looking they can be. My biggest worry remains the story, which I didn't experience much of, but from what I have seen, I am intrigued by it. A modern day Chronicles of Narnia with a heavy focus on pulling off bombastic combos? Yeah, I'm 100% in. Forspoken has not done many favors for itself in terms of marketing, but having played it, if all these elements can somehow come together in a cohesive manner, I think we're all in for a treat.
That's one thing people need to stop doing, is relying strictly on marketing, because marketing is the way games are. Targeting is weird. It should show you everything, but it just sometimes it just doesn't. It shows you a big part of something really weird, and you know what I mean. Obviously, if you don't, then I'm sorry. Otherwise, guys, that's it. I do appreciate you guys stopping by and watching this with me. If you already seen it, thanks for give me to click and watch them regardless. Go ahead and hit that like button if you are liking these type of videos. If you are new here, please hit that sub button because it does help. I am trying to get to 500 so we can get that community tab here so I can talk to you guys here on this platform. All right, I will see you guys later. I'm out of here.